Chapter 116 A Wild Team Fight. Wang Yan only had one goal in mind after Shrek Academy defeated Dusky Academy. He wanted Shrek Academy to be the eventual champions and carry on Shrek's streak as the tournament champions. There was only one true obstacle to Shrek Academy in their pursuit for glory. That's why Wang Yan hadn't given too many instructions, even though he had a brilliant setup in place. His purpose was to confuse their strongest opponent and trick them into believing that Shrek Academy only fought based on abilities, and not strategies. He was successful. Even Shrek Academy's own students were kept in the dark before yesterday. As the finals approached, there was no need for any more concealment. Wang Yan was about to show his talent in today's final through the Shrek team's competing members. Wang Yan could not help but recall his conversation with Huo Yuao and Wang Dong as he looked at them. The both of them sat to one side and appeared to be calm, but they were gripping their fists tightly. The two of you will not compete in the team round tomorrow. PK2 and Zhang Nanan will replace you. What? Why? Teacher Wang, we can help the team. I've already decided. This is a strategy that I'm using. At the same time, I'm protecting you. If you want to help your team in the team round, unleashing your martial soul fusion skill cannot be excluded. Furthermore, more than one of your martial soul fusion skills have to be unleashed, but I don't want to expose so much too early on. Don't forget that both of you will be the driving forces in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament 5 years from now in the Sun Moon Empire. Moreover, it's my responsibility to protect the both of you as your teacher. My strategy also requires you to conserve your powers in the team round. But listen to me first before any buts. Maybe you will continue to turn the tables. The Douluo Emperor said to the White Tiger Duke beside him softly on the top of the city wall. Brother, what do you think of Shrek's arrangement? The White Tiger Duke said after pondering for a while. They must have adjusted their tactics and strategies. Although I've never seen them compete, we can't underestimate the importance of these two fellows to their team. They're probably not being sent out now because they're preparing for the later segments. The Douluo Emperor smiled and said, what are your predictions then? The White Tiger Duke shook his head and replied, I'm not familiar with either team, thus I can't make any predictions. What about you, your majesty? You seem very confident. I'm sure you have made your judgment. The Douluo Emperor lowered his head and said something softly. The White Tiger Duke was stunned as he looked at him and replied, how could this be? The Douluo Emperor smiled and said, let's wait and see. Although that teacher from Shrek is no longer young, it's easy to tell that he's not simple from his lineup selection. I believe we'll see a surprise in this final. As they spoke, both teams had already ascended to the stage. They formed two rows and stood to the left and right of Huang Jingsu. I've announced the rules earlier on and will not repeat them again. Both teams, please step back and prepare to start fighting. This match will end once one team can no longer continue. Ma Xiaotao squinted her small eyes, and her gaze shone as she stared at Ma Rulong. Her eyes seemed to surge with flames too. Ma Rulong looked very serious. He had not had too much trouble against Zhang Heng, but the look Ma Xiaotao's eyes made him feel suppressed. This was a result of Shrek Academy's reputation. Ma Rulong kept on telling himself this, but that suppressive feeling remained as he faced Ma Xiaotao. Both teams slowly retreated. The emotion in Xiao Hingchen's eyes turned from anxiety to excitement. He was meant to compete. The more nervous he was, the stronger he became. He and his sister, Meng Hingchen, greatly displayed their prowess by being able to compete in this tournament as preparatory team members. This was also their first appearance in this tournament. As secret weapons, what kind of capabilities did they possess? Both team members had already reached the edges of the stage. Ma Xiaotao and Dai Yueheng still led the line over on Shrek Academy's side. Ling Luogan stood behind the both of them, followed by Xu Sanqi and Bei Bei. Zhang Nanan and He2 stood the furthest back. This combination wasn't very good. There were 3 assault type soul masters, 1 defense type soul master, 1 agility type soul master, 1 control type soul master and 1 soul engineer. There were no auxiliary type soul masters among them. Of course, no one knew that He2 was a food type soul master. They already held cigars in their mouths, except for Ma Xiaotao and Zhang Nanan. Shrek Academy's formation was lackluster, and there was nothing special about it. It even seemed a little redundant as 4 rows were formed. The Sun Moon Soul Academy's formation also didn't seem impressive. It was shaped like a cone, with Ma Rulong at the tip and the rest forming a triangle behind him. Both teams were extremely focused. At the moment when they reached the edges of the stage, the heaven-themed Douluo Huang Jingsu announced, match, start. The finals of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament had finally begun. In the next moment after Huang Jingsu announced the start of the match, both teams' formations changed, and a shocking scene appeared. It seemed as if Shrek's team and the Sun Moon Soul Academy's team had agreed on this beforehand. Both teams' members gathered towards the center of the stage and formed one row. It was no longer Ma Xiaotao at the front for Shrek Academy, but Xu Sanqi. After the Sun Moon Soul Academy's team formed their row, Lin's eye switched to the front of their formation. As the formations changed, both teams unleashed their martial souls. The Sun Moon Soul Academy's team also used their soul tools. Everyone from Shrek stood in one straight line. Xu Sanqi lifted his shield of the Chuanding turtle and burst forward in gigantic steps. The rest also followed him as they unleashed their martial souls. The Sun Moon Soul Academy's team did not move on the other side. To soul engineers, sufficient distance was required for them to unleash their powers. Lin's eye immediately whipped out a soul tool, which was also a shield, though it only looked as big as the most ordinary tray. The golden shield flashed with radiance on its surface, and a yellow halo spread out from it. It turned into a light shield that reached almost 2 meters in diameter. Not only did it protect him, but it also protected the rest of the Sun Moon Soul Academy's team behind him. Those who were sharp could tell what the Sun Moon Soul Academy's team was doing. The reasoning behind their actions was very simple. They were guarding against Xu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement. The mysterious underworld displacement had been very useful against Shrek's opponents on many occasions. Once Xu Sanqi completed the displacement, his repeated displacements would cause Shrek's strategies to become extremely strange. It wouldn't be a good thing for the Sun Moon Soul Academy team if he substituted someone over or sent someone away. Only Lin's eye could be seen as the Sun Moon Soul Academy team stood in a straight line. Lin's eye was huge and blocked everyone behind him. Now that he had unleashed this shield, he could block the effect of Xu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement. He was already prepared to be switched over. Everyone from the Sun Moon Soul Academy team was pleased when they saw Xu Sanqi rushing to the front of Shrek's team. To them, their plan was already pretty flawless. At the very least, Xu Sanqi was unable to use his mysterious underworld displacement. This was only the formation changes of both teams. An even more intense battle was about to ensue following this. Countless balls of light condensed from soul power and unleashed using soul tools were released from the bodies of the Sun Moon Soul Academy's team members behind Lin's eye in an instant. These balls of light rapidly spread to both sides and into the air before engulfing Shrek Academy's team at an alarming speed along with fizzing, piercing sound. The balls of light were still gathering at an increased speed as they flew into the air. From their trajectory, they were headed towards all 7 of the Shrek's team members without any wastage. The Sun Moon Soul Academy's soul engineers were all at least class 5. Although their soul powers were enhanced using different medicines and secret methods, and were incomparable to soul masters, their soul powers were indeed still very strong. Through a soul tool commanded by a soul king, its powers were even superior to the soul skills used directly by a soul king. How much more powerful would a skill that was unleashed by so many class 5 soul engineers together be? Against the Imperial Profound Academy, the Sun Moon Soul Academy's team had used such an all-rounded soul tool to suppress their opponent. They had also forced the Imperial Profound Academy's members down from the competition stage through an incessant and relentless attack. They used a similar strategy against Shrek. They didn't hope to harm their opponent, but wanted to suppress them so that they couldn't get close to them. However, a beam of white light also shot into the sky from the amidst the 7 Shrek members just as their balls of light spread. This beam of light revealed a white crescent. Following that, it turned into countless streaks of white light that poured down on the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineering Academy's 7 members. While the concentration of the white lights might seem weaker than the light balls unleashed by the Sun Moon Soul Academy, and their powers might also be inferior, they were unleashed at the perfect time. Just as the light balls were released by the soul tool and gathered towards the center, these white lights were unleashed. The 2 offenses collided right in the center of the competition stage. Dai Yueheng's 4th soul ring shone brightly as he unleashed his white tiger meteor shower, a domain type soul skill. Since it was a soul emperor's 4th soul skill, it was was bound to be more powerful than a Class 5 soul tool used by a soul master. Furthermore, it was only being used to intercept. When both offenses collided in the center of the competition stage, the initial collision turned into a full-on collision that led into an explosion. From the first wave of attacks, Shrek appeared to be doing better than the Imperial Profound Academy had. Shu Sanqi did not stop because of the explosion. The shield of the Xuanling turtle in his hand shone with a black light, and both the mysterious underworld force and mysterious underworld shield were unleashed together. Who knew that he was at the front not to defend against the opponent's attack, but to take advantage of the shockwave produced as both teams' soul powers collided? Shu Sanqi was the best among all the soul ancestors in terms of defense. The mysterious underworld shield removed all the shockwaves under the effect of the mysterious underworld force, and his advancing footsteps weren't affected at all. He seemed to enter the core of the explosion, and the distance between both parties was decreased to less than 70 meters. The Sun Moon Soul Academy's attack did not stop. They had great chemistry together as Class 5 and above soul engineers. As the first ball of light flew out, the second wave of long-range soul tools was also initiated. Radiances, light balls and cannon shells that many from Shrek had never seen before started to flood towards them. But Shrek Academy also unleashed its second strike at this point. Amidst a bright, fiery whistle, a dazzling phoenix flame shot into the sky. After the White Tiger Meteor Shower, Ma Xiaodao's strongest soul skill, the Phoenix Meteor Shower, was also unleashed. Da Yueheng's White Tiger Meteor Shower was only a 1,000-year soul skill, but Ma Xiaodao's Phoenix Meteor Shower was her 6th soul skill, and was also a 10,000-year soul skill. It must mean that she had already prepared to attack at the instant the formation was set up, for it to tightly follow the White Tiger Meteor Shower after it was unleashed. The burning flames caused the area within the competition stage to heat up tremendously. A Phoenix Meteor Shower that was at least 5 times bigger than the White Tiger Meteor Shower descended from the sky. Not only were the meteors very concentrated, but they were also extremely powerful. The air seemed to distort completely, and the 108 soul masters had to unleash all their soul power to prevent the barrier from collapsing. A reverberating explosion sounded at the center of the two teams. Ma Xiaodao once again proved how strong she was. Her Phoenix Meteor Shower suppressed all the soul tools from the Sun Moon Soul Academy, and even attacked their formation. The Phoenix Meteor Shower superseded the White Tiger Meteor Shower in terms of power and duration. Shrek Academy's two soul emperors decided to attack their opponents at long range. No matter how strong the Sun Moon Soul Academy's soul tools were, they had to land to have any effect. Since this was the case, Shrek could just prevent their attacks from landing. Soul tools did not unleash real soul skills. Their attacks couldn't be controlled the moment they were released. Under Ma Xiaodao and Da Yueheng's exquisite control, their opponents' long-range attacks were all stopped. Even if there were any flaws, Shu Sanqi's mysterious underworld shield would prevent those behind him from being hurt with his all-rounded defense. However, the explosive force was already beyond Shu Sanqi's defense capability, as the second shockwave was too powerful. He had no choice but to stop in his tracks 50 meters away from his opponents. The Sun Moon Soul Academy also whipped out 3 layers of barriers to resist the Phoenix Meteor Shower. All 7 of them were protected within the barriers. A figure from Shrek shot out quickly at this point. Burning Phoenix flames turned into wings that flapped in the air. As she rose, a tough fist punched her foot and sent her flying up like a cannon shell. Her speed reached an extremely frightening level. After she flew up 10 meters, 2 gusts of flames also spurted out from her feet. This caused her speed to soar once again. In the blink of an eye, she had already arrived in front of her opponents. Without a doubt, this person was Ma Xiaodao. It was only her and Da Yueheng who dared to fight their way into their opponent's formation, and distance was always the most important in a fight between a soul master and soul engineer. Everyone was a little dumbfounded as they saw this. From the odds, the Sun Moon Soul Academy should be beating Shrek Academy easily, but the current situation showed that Shrek held the upper hand. Ma Xiaodao had already arrived in front of Lin Zai in just the blink of an eye, while the other 6 also upped their speed as they rushed closer to the Sun Moon Soul Academy team. Ma Xiaodao was so strong that her 4th soul ring had already lit up as she flew quickly. The Phoenix flames turned dark red, and the evil Phoenix fire appeared once again. Once her Phoenix sky whistle restrained the Sun Moon Soul Academy's members, the result of this round would be decided. Under the stage, Hua Yuao, Wang Dong and Xia Xiao had already clenched their fists. Although Wang Yan's strategy had only just been executed, they hoped that Ma Xiaodao could use this strike to ensure victory for Shrek. However, the truth proved that it was reasonable to tip the Sun Moon Soul Academy as the favorite to be the champion. Against Ma Xiaodao's attack, Lin Zai made a leaping motion. Following that, at least 3 soul tools on his body released an intense radiance. Firstly, a white halo was unleashed from his chest. This white halo seemed as faint as fog. When it appeared, Ma Xiaodao's body also showed a white light. Ma Xiaodao changed her direction slightly because of Lin Zai's leaping motion. After that, a layer of golden light that everyone from Shrek Academy was familiar with lit up on Lin Zai's body. No, it wasn't just one layer. It was 2 layers. The first layer was an ordinary invincible barrier that blocked Ma Xiaodao's Phoenix sky whistle. Following that, there was a bigger layer of golden light that spread from his body. From the outside, it engulfed both his and Ma Xiaodao's body within it. Ma Xiaodao's evil Phoenix flames were prevented from being unleashed. An explosive boom sounded from within the 2 layers of barriers. Within the barriers, intense Phoenix flames rose, but Ma Xiaodao's determined strike was blocked off by Lin Zai. However, Lin Zai did not have it well either as he blocked Ma Xiaodao's attack. While the invincible barrier was defensively sound, it still had to absorb a huge amount of the user's soul power before its defensive capabilities could be displayed. His soul power had been depleted tremendously after using 3 Class 5 soul tools, and his face had turned pale. The Sun Moon Soul Academy coordinated among themselves very well. Michael also unleashed a shield when Lin Zai leapt up. This caused Shu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement to fail. At this point, a streak of golden red radiance shot out from Michael's shoulder. Shu Sanqi had seen this golden red radiance before. It was a frightening attack by a Class 7 soul tool. It was also an offense that was focused on one point. The barrier erected by the 108 soul masters couldn't handle this frightening presence either. This streak of golden red radiance came at the perfect time. Lin Zai had leapt up to block Ma Xiaodao, and Shu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement was unleashed. A black line was blocked by Michael's shield, and the golden red radiance also appeared at this instant. Its target was Shu Sanqi. He had no choice but to resist it forcefully, as he had just used his soul skill. Not only did this golden red radiance appear, but countless streaks of radiance also shot out from Michael's back. These lights were purplish blue in color, and were abnormally dazzling. After these lights shot in the sky, they turned into parabolas and flew towards Shrek's team. An unexpected situation occurred at this point. A sly look drifted across Shu Sanqi's eyes, although he had appeared frantic earlier. Following that, his body disappeared, and he was replaced by someone else. The person who was switched over was none other than the preparatory team leader of the Sun Moon Soul Academy's team, Xia Chen. The mysterious underworld displacement succeeded just like that. If one were to look carefully, they would see that the black line unleashed by Shu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement had made a strange turn as it was blocked by Michael's shield. It had turned in front of Michael and struck Xia Chen. This change was too rapid. No one expected that Shu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement could be used like that. In the waiting area, Hua Yuao lowered his head, and his eyes repeatedly shone with golden light. They regained their normal look very quickly. There was no way it could be controlled so precisely if it were only by Shu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement. However, his mysterious underworld displacement became different with the guidance of Hua Yuao's spiritual detection. All of this was within Wang Yan's plan. Ma Xiaodao's Phoenix Meteor Shower had struck the barriers around the competition stage, meaning that a portion of her soul power was wasted. However, was it really wasted? Just as the barrier shook, Hua Yuao's spiritual powers condensed into a wave using his precise control, and this wave penetrated the barrier. He used his spiritual detection sharing on Shu Sanqi alone. Hua Yuao might have fused with the life bulb, but even still, his spiritual power would be depleted after he managed to penetrate the barrier. Furthermore, the burden on his spiritual power would be very great. However, his spiritual sea had undergone a transformation now, and his spiritual power had increased greatly. His control of his spiritual power had also been enhanced. Although he could not sustain this spiritual detection for his compatriots for very long, he could still manage for a short while. Wang Yan had expected their opponents to guard against Shu Sanqi's mysterious mysterious underworld displacement. However, soul shields were not one way. This meant that if a soul shield became a barrier, it would affect the Sun Moon Soul Academy's defense because of its large size. This was not what they wanted. That was why Wang Yan believed that it was unlikely that they would be able to block the mysterious underworld displacement. Shu Sanqi's mysterious underworld displacement was very critical in this team round. Since they were inferior overall, they had to grab hold of every opportunity. Although Huo Yue was not present, his aid offstage was even more important than the direct help he could give on stage. There was no room for Xiao Hingchen to dodge. As he was switched over, the golden red radiance had already reached him. It came at the speed of light, and thus he was unable to unleash his soul tools even if he wanted to. Neither him nor Meng Hingchen had made a move in the Sun Moon Soul Academy's previous attack. He was plain unlucky now. Before he could even turn gloomy, the frightening radiance had already struck his chest. But at this instant, a layer of even more intense golden light was suddenly emitted from Xiao Hingchen's body. This layer of golden light had to be activated. The golden red radiance's penetrative ability was very strong, but it was stopped by this golden light. Xiao Hingchen groaned and stepped back. He looked pale. The golden light from his body had protected his entire body just like the invincible barrier. However, it was brighter than what Shrek's team had ever seen before. It was much more eye-blinding. At this point, the purplish blue radiance from the sky had already descended. On Shrek's side, a huge shield of ice had appeared midair. Not only that, but countless streaks of light were shining towards the purplish blue radiance. A series of dazzling fireworks seemed to have been released. Ling Luoken and Hikaetu made their moves now. However, that purplish blue radiance was much more difficult to deal with than they had expected. After being struck by Hikaetu's rays, the purplish blue radiance stopped in midair. Following that, streaks and streaks of light spread rapidly and became like a cage that moved downwards. Since Xiao Hingchen was switched over there, Shu Sanqi was also switched to the other side. Immediately after he was switched over, he unleashed the mysterious underworld quake that was enhanced by the mysterious underworld force without any hesitation. A black halo engulfed the other five from the Sun Moon Soul Academy and delayed the martial souls that they had unleashed. Shu Sanqi did it flawlessly. After he used the mysterious underworld quake, he did not stop. He straightened his body and dashed out again. The mysterious underworld displacement shone again, and Dalu had also made a dash forward. If the mysterious underworld displacement succeeded once again, the second Soul Emperor from Shrek Academy would be brought over as well. Lin Zai and Ma Xiaodao had both landed on the ground. The last second of the invincible barrier's 3 seconds remained. It was not a good thing to be in close contact with Shrek Academy's 2 Soul Emperors. At least it wasn't what the Sun Moon Soul Academy hoped to see. This would only lead to their defeat. However, the black line from the mysterious underworld displacement was destroyed at the next moment. Shu Sanqi and Dalu didn't manage to switch positions. It was the purplish blue radiance that had stopped the mysterious underworld displacement. That was a huge purplish blue barrier that had trapped Shrek Academy's remaining 5 members within. When the black line from the mysterious underworld displacement reached it, the purplish blue radiance surrounded and destroyed it. Shu Sanqi was a little dumbfounded now, and cursed to himself. He lifted his shield and struck towards Ma Rulong, who was not far away. That purplish blue radiance was unleashed by Ma Rulong. It was another class 7 soul tool that he had developed himself. Shu Sanqi's choice of offense was quite on point. Ma Rulong had unleashed 2 class 7 soul tools consecutively, and also needed some time to regenerate his soul power. Shu Sanqi's sudden appearance and surprise attack with the mysterious underworld quake had caused Ma Rulong to be struck from the side, but the instant the shield of the Xuanning turtle struck Ma Rulong, a layer of intense white light shone from his body. A white bracelet on Ma Rulong's right hand was crushed, and that white light also caused Shu Sanqi to be violently jerked away. It was the repelling bracelet, a single-use class 5 soul tool. At this point, everything was a mess. The spectators were also unable to tell which side held the advantage. Ma Rulong shouted, "Second plan, fight the enemy separately." As he spoke, his head lit up with an intense black light. A huge helmet appeared on his head. After unleashing his martial soul, his head was much bigger than before. This was the effect of the big-headed spirit ape. The big-headed spirit ape enhanced Ma Rulong's soul tools with its power. It also had the advantage of doubling Ma Rulong's spiritual power compared to soul masters with the same cultivation. Although he was not a spiritual type soul master like Huo Yue, it was a great help to his control and usage of soul tools. In the center of this black helmet was a circular ruby. At this point, the ruby shone with a weird radiance. Following that, a dark red light projection burst out of it. It went straight in the direction of Lin Zai's invincible barrier. Ma Rulong's reaction was not slow, but he still couldn't save Lin Zai. That was because Ma Xiaodao was too powerful. After Huo Yue suppressed her evil phoenix fire, Ma Xiaodao's cultivation managed to break through once again. She reached rank 68, which was something even she herself had not expected. She didn't expect to achieve such rapid progress. She was only 2 ranks away from a 7-ringed soul sage. What was the concept behind rank 68 soul power? Her soul power was much greater than Dalu Heng's or Ma Rulong's, who were also soul emperors. The higher a soul master's cultivation, the greater the gap in soul power between the ranks. In terms of soul power, Ma Rulong and Dalu Heng were still inferior to her even if they combined their power. The invincible barrier did block Ma Xiaodao's phoenix sky whistle, but that strike was also unleashed by Ma Xiaodao with her full power. The temperature within the 2 invincible barriers reached a frightening level in an instant. Lin Zai was originally a little elated. He thought that he had stopped the strongest team member from Shrek and earned enough time for his compatriots. His action could be considered noble. He was also no longer needed against Ma Xiaodao next. Furthermore, he had other methods to use. The invincible barrier blocked out the attack and temperature. However, the frightening heat was unleashed between the 2 layers of barriers as the invincible barrier disappeared. The Sun Moon Soul Academy's greatest mistake was to underestimate the evil phoenix fire's temperature and explosiveness. If there were only a single invincible barrier that blocked Ma Xiaodao could still continue to attack and wouldn't be trapped for long. The might of the phoenix sky whistle also spread to the others, but it was still just spreading. At this moment, even Ma Xiaodao couldn't control the heat contained within the strike that shot out. The smile that was previously on Lin Zai's face disappeared in the next instant. It had disappeared completely. Even the air seemed to be left with some of the smug smile he had earlier. Ma Xiaodao was also in a daze. At the moment when the invincible barrier disappeared, she felt a wave of heat that suddenly spread. Lin Zai disappeared after that. At this point, the dark red light projection that Ma Rulong had unleashed was forced back as it collided with the wave of heat and revealed its form. It was an ape that was not more than 1.5 meters tall. Its arms were very long as they reached the ground. Its dark red fur gave off a smooth and clear feeling, but its eyes were golden and flashed with a weird golden radiance. After being forced back by the wave of heat, it jumped rapidly on the spot. It was groaning in pain, as if it had been burnt. Lin Zai. The Sun Moon team only reacted at this point, and they screamed in horror. They hadn't expected one of them to be killed within such a short time. His life disappeared just like that. Even the Heaven Fiend Douluo was unable to save him in time. It had happened too quickly, and no one had expected Ma Xiaodao to generate such a frightening amount of heat with this ultimate blow of hers. Not only did it melt the soul tool that protected Lin Zai, but it also turned his body into air. Ma Xiaodao's brows rose after a momentary daze. After all, this was just a competition, and killing someone wasn't her intention. She was also helpless against such a situation that was either a calamity or an accident. Bastard. A figure dashed out from the Sun Moon team. It was Chen Fei, an agility-type soul master. His martial soul was the lightning bird. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.